Yeah. And
Great.
And Lee, I'll just excuse myself for 1 second. If my mom calls, if I don't
Yes.
answer her phone, she's gonna move the whole planet why Aisha is not picking up the phone. So I'm just gonna tell her I'm in a meeting. That will be the only interruption. Otherwise, everything else is good.
No, and that's perfectly fine because the world stops for my mother as well. I mean, as it should, right? I mean, that's how we gotta do it. But
Exactly.
yeah, so you have the question, and essentially, like I said, I that for right now, I'm actually getting to meet you and learn more about the work that you do at 12 Gates. So, just to refresh your memory, the question was asking you to respond in terms of your past, current, or future experiences around these multiple areas of programming, access and audience development, artist engagement, community engagement, the curatorial process, technology and digital engagement, staffing, and COVID response. So essentially, any of those areas that you feel, you want to start with works for me. You can just share with me
Sure.
what your experience is.
No problem. So, Lee, like basically, for example, if you need information about one area than the other, I'm happy to discuss that more. But of course, I'm looking at the question as well, where you say drawing from your past, current, and future experience in relation to curation, presentation, and programming, or artists and arts book. What advice would you give to the Village Future Gallery in the area as well? So question to you, and then of course I'll respond to that, because I know that Village Future Gallery, is that something, I just wanted to make sure that I get it right. This is something you're starting, right? This is something, a new project, right? And
Exactly.
when you, yeah, right. So when you, because I have a lot of, I met Aviva for a long time. We were together in a long project, and her energy, her vision, and how intensity intensity in a very good way, like she's very strict about what can go in that, because the area you're dealing with, people you're dealing with, it's very sensitive, right? So I actually, right, I sat next to her for a couple of meetings, and we always thought, people, artists I deal with, community I deal with, we kind of have to be very careful. Although I'm an immigrant, I'm part of that artist community, but sometimes, I, maybe they feel I have more privilege than other. I have more entitlement than other. You know what I mean? So, and I know it's just the gallery we're talking about. Like sometimes people think luxury, right? That comes sometimes. Like, okay, artists with art, and that's whole thing. I'm making this background to talk to you. So, what gallery you're building? Will you be selling the artworks there?
That's an excellent question. And I think it's a good time to kind of back up a little bit and just to share that when we say gallery is really a container or placeholder when this project was initially proposed, but it doesn't, define the be all end all and the kind of possibilities, right? The limitless possibilities that this place could be and we want it to be for the village. So I think that what I've been sharing with folks is that the gallery is really just a name, but it could really stand as a gathering space for community, right? For community building that could, host an archive, right? It could be, an educational space. It could and actually should be a place, a safe space where people can come in times of crisis and times of mourning. Even, we were thinking a lot in some of the conversations that we've had with folks. We understand that as the last couple of years have been so challenging, that some of the art spaces, particularly places like the village, um, became a hub for folks to gather and to kind of troubleshoot and creatively problem solve what was going on in their neighborhoods, but then also a place to kind of collectively mourn when it was really a challenge, especially with so much loss, and thinking about how a creative space can be also a healing space. So, I know that the typical gallery is not like that. Like if you go to, say, Chelsea in New York, these galleries are not doing that kind of work, So I think that, and that's one of the reasons why we've interviewed folks that are running different types of spaces. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with the Brotherhood Sister Soul in New York, but they are a youth organization and they focus on youth development and activism. A lot of community building. They work with families on an intergenerational level, like offering childcare and other things of that nature. So, we are reaching out to folks who have various perspectives on what it means to build community, what it means to use the arts as a tool for doing that, as well as a place, like I said, as a safe place, a place where people feel welcome and a place that they can claim as their own. So we're thinking about the space as that, and it may not be called gallery in the future. I mean, we don't know, there would definitely be art. I mean, art is obviously a big part of it, but I think that it's just kind of the framework of the space, but it doesn't mean that a lot of other amazing things aren't going to happen in there. And I do think, just to kind of answer your question, there will be some sort of marketplace where there's an opportunity for artists to sell their work, because we're thinking about a creative economy. We're thinking about ways that this could be a sustainable model for folks to continue to build. So that will be built into that. But for me right now, I don't know the logistics of that,
This is beautiful. So whatever you said, whatever, that's what 12 Gates does. And plus we have a marketplace. So I'll tell you, so I'm kind of, that's why I really needed to know where this, because what Village is doing right now, it's very grassroots, very community based, right? And kind of starting this initiative, Lee, for me is like, okay, you're giving an extra opportunity to artists now to kind of have that white cube experience, that gallery experience, so I'll tell you, so I exactly know what you're talking about. So in that perspective, I'm going to talk about Philadelphia. I'm going to talk about what 12 Kids does. And of course, being a woman of color, right? And being an immigrant and dealing with a lot of sensitivities and meet them artists where they are. So in that perspective, I'll reply programming, access, community, curatorial, technology, staffing, and COVID response. So like in brief, so whatever you need, then you can ask me questions about it. So what 12 Gates, like we're exactly actually June 4th, we are 13 years old, right? So Lee, for us, the most important thing was when we started, and again, I'm talking about Washington area, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, DC, Pennsylvania, New Jersey area, and even somehow at level of in New York too, because where things are really cutthroat, really things are very, you said the way Chelsea style, right? We wanted to create a platform where artists can come, where artists of from American diaspora from South Asia, and basically mostly from Minasa region, right? They could come, they could feel comfortable, and they can talk about their problems. They can talk about what work they want to show. But we really, really, really wanted to concentrate on contemporary art, right? So that's why we are very small. Reason we're small, because at certain points I tried to thought, okay, what about we become this kind of community organization, we become this kind of community organization. Lee, for issue was happening with us the moment you start trying to expand your funding, you're trying to do so many things, the actual mission was really diluting. So like this conversation, like you will over and see, like that's why I said it is a safe place. It is a place where poets, where readers, writers, artists, even like a community person can walk in. And community doesn't mean you have to be South Asian. Anybody from Philadelphia can walk in and they can tell me, okay, listen, this piece spoke to me in that sense. I know this is not my story, but trust me, this happened to me. Can you talk to me about it? I'm open to it, because I'm not a cutthroat gallerist sitting there who needs to cut hours and make money, right? So that's why 12 Kids is a nonprofit. So that's what like really our work wanted to be around community and the whole process of it. But as we were moving along, this Atif and I were avid supporters of artists as well. Like when I say artists, like, poets, sports, performance artists, and experimental. The most important thing was, Lee, which you probably will see, there are a lot of artists who are conceptual artists, right? What happens to them? Like gallery don't want to show them, museum don't know what to do with them, and then they go and they do one show here, one show there. So that was one of the main thing with 12 Kids, and I think this comes in a curatorial process. When we curate, we make sure we kind of cover all genre of contemporary art is happening. Like for example, we Atif, he's a co-founder. Atif and Mir, they're both co-founders of 12 Kids, but also they every year, last 2 years we couldn't do because of COVID. Every year we do a contemporary video art festival. What does that do? It's not a documentary. It's not a 30 minutes. It's like a small contemporary film. Like as a fresh graduate, maybe you went to film school, you did it, I did it, but there's no space anywhere for that. Of course, we have jury, we have judges, we have a very strict criteria who can enter, what can be entered. And then we do that every year and then give them small honorarium, right? And take care of them. This is like that moment of like what 12 Gets try to do through these small pockets, through small moments, just give them that how important work they are doing and how it is important to have art around you, right? So that's probably, I would say, like I would like to talk about programming a little bit here, like what happened in the past and current and future we see. So when it comes to programming, Lee, that's the thing. And Philadelphia is very cliquish, very cliquish. It's very, although it's a small town, but not necessarily always everybody's there to support each other. So for programming, like there is a exhibition programming, which we always collaborate with institutions, with organizations. But what we figured, because again, our budget, that term will come over and over again in my conversation. There is a reason the budget is small and we're trying to expand it for next year. And I'll talk to you about that. For that, we try to collaborate. If somebody's already in Philadelphia, like we collaborate with organizations. Like, for example, now I talk to you today, something will come up to you and you'll be like, Aisha, this person, this is there. Can we come and do it in Old City? Absolutely. So 12 Gates is huge on collaborations, like especially for their programming. When it comes to public events, when it comes to poetry events, when it comes to any kind of exhibition, which is already traveling, let's try to let's not finish in 30 days. Let's bring it to 12 Gates. So what I learned through that, and I will continue that model in future too, because when I tell people what our 12 Gates budget is and the amount of work we have done on the website, and with no staff, I was the only full-time person and we had part-time and we had volunteers. I think that was the key, like have a very tact way to handle the programming. And I would suggest the same thing. If anything happens, just see what's happening in the community before and just kind of enhance that. Because what's the benefit of that? We build collaborations. We build so many collaborations. That's what I'm trying to do in Philadelphia. Like, how can we all can really benefit together, right? Like if something happens, of course it doesn't happen in our lifetime, it's fine, but at least we need to advocate. We have to have that advocacy. Right now it's very cool to have all organization, which is amazing, sponsoring, giving grants, BIPOC organizations, but Lee was not there for us 3 years ago. Right? So we had to fight with all the time, over and over, telling the same story over and over. So for me, like this is comes into kind of community engagement as well, like how stay in touch, intact with community and raise your voice when it's needed. So what other thing I would say we have done in past, we're doing now, and we're in future, community engagement, we ask people, are we doing okay? Do you need to see anything else? And what's bothering you? So if bothering is the programming we do, hello, I'm sorry, I can't do anything about it. And you know what I mean to say that, right? And when we talk about like what else we can do. So what I'll tell you, when we started 13 years ago, even South Asian within this area, anyone else, they were like, oh, okay, it's a gallery, but you're nonprofit. What's going on? It was like such kind of a conversation. And every time I used to educate people, like this is a gallery. Yes, I consider 12 Gates a mini museum, like where anyone can walk in, anyone can show their work and they don't have to worry about sales. If we bingo, if we don't sell, you had audience, like basically that's a place for you to host your friends, to have an opening, to invite your peer and just feel like, oh my God, I went to school for 5-6 years, or even if I'm a self-taught artist, oh my God, I can have that feeling. So that was the huge, I think, rewarding thing for me when we did that. So that's where like whenever somebody walks in, we talk to them, like community engagement, like, okay, what people really responded to, what topics, just keep an eye. And of course, Village and you are amazing at it, looking at your experience, like what topic really people want to talk. But we just cannot give mic to the same people over and over who already talking. So we really need to engage new people. Just, are you comfortable? If you're not comfortable, do you want to send us an email? If you're not not comfortable, do you want to give us a testimonial? So these kind of like a very organic and raw way to stay in touch, like always be there for them. But Lee, what I heard in heard and learned in 13 years, you really have to meet people where they are. Like if you're trying to change them and if you're trying to make them acceptable, I'm sorry, that's not going to, that's not going, give me 1 second, give me 1 second. Lee, give me 1 second. One. Thank you, thank you.
No
So,
worries.
so I think that's where the community engagement part came, right? So what we are struggling with technology and digital engagement. So we did amazing during COVID. Before COVID, we did not know the words technology and digital engagement. I'll be very honest, because again, we're a small organization. We had people and we did all those traditional stuff, record this, put it on Instagram. So actually Instagram, I learned how to do it end of 2021, because I figured that's the need. Without Instagram, you kind of don't exist, right? So technology and digital engagement is one thing we're struggling, but we're working on it. So we have a part-time development and program coordinator. So Adra and I, we both are talking. Okay, we did amazing with Zoom. We did so many events, all of us, people showed up, people stayed, people gave us kudos, people sent $10 donation here, $20 donation here. But Lee, we all know everybody Zoom burned, everybody is really busy with their life. So first we were trying to do like all other organizations, because I don't know if you're in that cohort. It is a Philip PHL, art leader, and Ishi and Rachel Zimmerman, they started a cohort, and everybody, all of us, we were part of it. So everybody said that, okay, let's create that, like have everything has two ways, in person and digital. We can't afford that. We don't have that kind of budget, and we don't have that kind of. So, but what Adra came to me, because our gallery was open. This other thing, we have very limited hours, but we don't close. Like rain, shine, we were open throughout the COVID. We just closed for March, April, May, June, when this whole thing happened. And as soon as George Floyd protests were happening, we actually opened the gallery, because we wanted to, and we had a really show which was relative to what was happening in Philadelphia, although it was done by a South Asian artist, but it was a collaboration with it was a very informative, very interesting show. So people walked in, they cried, they said, oh my God, we can't go to a museum, we can't do this, I don't know what's going to happen. We kept our SOPs going, because it's a small place, again, very easy to manage. But during those days, we learned there is no accessibility platform. No, I'm not talking about, again, museum, I'm talking about small organizations. And of course, in your community, if somebody can't hear, somebody can't see, and somebody can't speak, always these audio tours, always these things are built for fancy, big budget organizations. So that's where we're actually working, and we're struggling, and we are working on it. So Adra came up to me last year and they said, Aisha, we really need to figure it out, and ability to people with hearing aid, people with. So now from this year, we're doing, actually from fall, all our exhibition will be audio recorded. So all our exhibitions will be somehow. We can't get to Braille system yet. We're working on it, how to do it. But these are the things. We're not thinking about everyone who can enjoy. We're thinking about people who cannot the normal life. And I think this was the COVID response, I would say. Like, this is we learned during COVID, people who walked in. So anybody can walk into the gallery. That's the other thing, Lee. I know what kind of space you open, because people get, dogs can come in, cats can come in, kids with stroller can come in. Anyone is welcome to the gallery. We do not ask them anything. I think that's one thing I learned over the years, that we really should not stop people. It's the right, and especially being in Philadelphia, mural city, brotherly love. Like, this is one thing, like, people have to come in. I know if I have $10,000 or $20,000 installation on floor, this is my job to guard it, not the person who walked. And if somebody walked in with a dog or with the baby, I just tell them, I said, then please enjoy it, but just stay away from this. Just have a conversation. And, they open up instead of telling them, I'm sorry, you can't bring stroller in. I'm sorry, you can't bring the dog in, da, 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 da. This way conversations happen. So this is like a kind of, I'm just kind of giving you a breath of like what we have been doing, but challenges, there are still challenges, Lee. Challenges were in the past. People forget. If you don't, what my concern is, and I don't know if you want to touch a little bit about it. If you don't do things and just keep the door open, people forget about you, what you have done in the past. It's like one thing, you always have to come up with new ideas. And actually, we had a board meeting and somebody was asking me, what is your strategic plan for next year? I'm like, I don't know my strategic plan, but I'm thinking about next 10 years. I might be out of ideas. I might be, because the way technology is moving, I really need to see who's going to run gallery in 10 years, and I make it a sustainability at that level where somebody can take over, build director's salary once, things like that. And best practice, I know cautions and best practice and wishes. These three things were very important for me. And again, I'll talk about, like, in that sense. So cautions is, you can never make everyone happy. So when you schedule, especially if you're going into all kind of genre of art, like if you're really inviting artists as in community, sometimes if you are being too accessible, that goes in, like, you really can't, you have to control the space. You don't have to control their artistic practice at all. You don't have to control what they want to say, but you really have to control the space to make sure that this is your space. It's not, because Lee, what happens sometimes, it happens to us a lot. I can't show with this person next to me. This is not, no, I'm not going to. So you know what, like, so you have to respect a curator. You have to respect a space who chose this. So we always do, like, we are very careful now. We always do contracts in before. We always share insurance certificates, and especially the cancel culture. Oh my God. Lee, Atif, and I, and my whole board, advisory board, we really keep an eye on everything, what's going on with cancel culture, because that one thing, young generation is not going to understand what goes behind it. They're just going to cancel it. So that's one thing, like, we're really cautious. And I don't know how to phrase that, but I get this lot of pushback. A lot of Caucasian artists, they walk in and they're like, why you're in Art City? And they know I'm not American, right? So that something goes like, how come we can't show here? You have to show us, because it's a beautiful gallery space. I'm not saying because I run it or I have it. It's like a really nice space. People walk in, we sell stuff. So they're like, we want to do. And I'm like, but what I learned over the years, never give your mission and just say, we have a board. Why don't you submit your, and in the beginning, I used to say, oh, we don't show. We only show Salvation Art. Da, 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 da. Oh my God, it backfired. But you're young, you're starting something, you learn. But now I can handle, I'm like, absolutely love your work. This is the card. Please send me an email and I'll share it with my advisory committee. So the reason is, when I said no, things got really hostile at the gallery. It's not that they canceled me, but things got really, so I stay away from those things, because Lee, if something happens like that, people don't feel this is a comfortable space or safe space to walk in. And the only reason I'm saying that, because we're trying to build a safe space here, and all kind of people who are going to walk in. Best practices, I think best practices for me is, and it's for me, for out there, for all of us at 12 Guessing, we really listened, like, what artists had to say. We really paid attention, and we kind of kind of, I know it's a very weird way to say it, and then we kind of learn how to identify what is whining and what is a real need and what is actually the only, even artists, curators, everyone, or they're really catering someone else, not the 12 gates audience. Do I make sense? Like they're really trying to get someone's attention, and for that attention, so like we kind of through those best practices learned, listened. We used to rush on things. Oh my god, there's an opportunity, let's do it. We're like, no, it's fine if we lose two opportunities and get. Lee, that was the hardest thing, FOMO. I worked on it. Like that was my biggest challenge. I wanted to do everything, and I wanted to get like 12 gates everywhere. Like then I learned, and Pew is actually part of that. When I went to Pew, I thought 12 gates should apply Pew grant. And then, then over the years I learned, no, 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 no. It's like a tortoise, study and win the race, kind of mean. It's like, it's kind of that approach. That was my best practice. You can bring, I know I'm saying Jeff Koons or Kinde Wiley to me tomorrow, and that's like, oh my God, I should pick one. I would say I need my time. And I used to say, oh my God, give me both and get a budget for them. You know what I mean? It's like one kind of those things. I did it and I got stuck with it. And then best practices, I always thought sometimes people like to pretend what they're trying to do, but they really don't mean that. Just do research, your research. So you don't get into those things where the place is not safe anymore. And I'll keep coming back to safe place, safe place, safe place, because that's what we build for artists here. And I think that's really, that thing is important for you. For me, wishes, like if you ask me wishes, and I'll talk about programming, access, community, curatorial, technology, staffing, all on those. My wishes, like I wish nonprofit world in Philadelphia, in USA, was not that difficult. I understand we get grants. I understand we get support. I understand all of it. But for me, Lee, it's been like, it's like a catch 20, hen first or egg first. Like, if I tell my board I want to hire a person, they're like, wait, how are you going to pay them? If I don't have a person, my budget doesn't increase, I can't apply for this grant. Yeah, but if you don't get that grant, you have to fire that person. So kind of that thing. But and there's a donor burnout. I'm sure you hear that, Zoom fatigue, all of this. But I wish if there was like some way, what we're doing to Philadelphia, all of us, if there was like a sustainable, some kind of thing. That's my wish. But again, this doesn't happen, it's not going to stop me. For my wish is next year, we are expanding our budget up to 300K and hiring a second person and starting residency with 2 artists to begin with from Philadelphia. Because I feel like, Lee, over the years, 13 years, and I can say, of course, it's not 100 years, but last 13 years, but I have learned young graduates, when they graduate from PAFA or Tyler, or they leave Philadelphia like this. All the talent goes out of Philly. And that really bothers me. People like, why does it bother you? It bothers me. It really bothers me. You build these connections. And example with you, I'm talking to you today, 2 days later, you'll be telling, oh my God, Aisha, New York or DC gave me a better opportunity. Why Philly couldn't keep you here, And if somebody wants it, so that's my like kind of wish, where we're starting this residence. It's a huge take, we're like a huge responsibility, we're taking it. But I am telling my board, we have to do this. So this is kind of, I walk you through from day one to today.
Yes.
But
Oh my gosh. I'm in awe. First of all, I just know now, I understand why Aviva was just like, we got to get Aisha here and on the record, because you just shared so many gems of insights, and so much stuff that you shared really was resonating with others, because one of the things is about the retaining of artists and the talent in this city, because everyone knows what a rich, fertile ground Philadelphia is for creativity, for the artists that really just have such integrity and potential to be global artists. But at the same time, we don't somehow nurture, take care, provide with these opportunities that are competitive in this global marketplace, you know, or even just the global field in general as an art professional. Even if you're not really there to be selling your work
Exactly.
in this kind of way, but just like in terms of recognition, you know. And you're exactly right that, you know, no matter what discipline you are, it seems people are always leaving the city to make it somewhere else because, like you said, better opportunities, wider audiences, you know. But I think one thing that opened people's eyes to that came with the pandemic and the virtual world is that a lot of people they were forced to go digital and they reached wider audiences that were really, you know, enjoying the content and really blown away by the artistry, letting folks know that, oh, there is an appeal, there is an interest in my art in other places outside of the city. And but that's even more incentive sometimes for folks to leave. So I totally hear you on all of that. And I'm just so glad that I got to be the one to tap into this wealth of knowledge that you have. I would definitely be sharing it. And so, and that's the great thing too, like I said, you know, even in our brief time just now, like I said, I mean, and it was amazing just watching you work because you covered all the things. You know, some people kind of touched on one topic, but you really did give a lot of great insight on all of the above. So thank you so much for all of that. And just so that you know, one of the things that we're going to be doing is creating a creative project that is going to interpret and kind of publicly share the research that I'm doing with folks like yourself and, you know, the community and the youth at the village and the staff. So we're basically going to be doing a creative share out of the research and development through an art project that it's pretty exciting, and I'm hoping that you know, we are able to wrap that up. Is really going to kind of lead into the opening of the building. So we're going to share that through the time of construction. So there will be like a public display of this kind of creative interpretation of the research. Yeah, and so then when we do that, also too, you know, there'll be some sort of documentation online as well. So I will definitely keep you posted. And just you know, other logistics as far as following up, you know, we definitely are going to be compensating you for your time and your insights. So most likely, because I will be putting you in touch with, I will be sharing your email with our business office at the village, and someone there will be in touch with you to get the paperwork done and everything.
Of course, it's really nice of you. You didn't really, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. You really didn't have to worry about the honorarium, but really appreciate
but
it.
no, but we want to, because that's really a part of it. Like, you know, like the collaboration and us supporting one another, you know, in the work that we do, and recognizing and appreciating and valuing everyone's time and contribution. And then, you know, you can put it towards some people are putting it towards the organization, or, you know, keeping it for themselves, whatever you choose to do. But it is yours, and we're happy to give it. And thank you so much. I'm so glad.
Absolutely. Same here.
Yeah.
If anything comes up to you, feel free to let me know. But this one last thing I want to tell you, because
Yeah.
you do research and development, and if you can comment on anything, and I think you can talk to Aviva, but again, Village was in a completely different category. When you apply for these big grants, they always want a big artist's name in those grants. And that's where you really leave Philadelphia and you give thousands and thousands of dollars to artists from New York and LA, and $1,500 to $2,000 to a young emerging artist in Philadelphia. That's why, like, I really stay away from, because I'm not giving 60,000 to an artist who already make. I know, don't get me wrong here, but then how Philadelphia is going to grow, how Philadelphia is going to get there, you know? So this is like coming straight from my Philadelphia sick. I'm not against big artists. My gallery runs on those big artists. But I think if grant making kind of changed that mindset a little bit, like the only reason is I can't make that comment because people will be like, oh my God, like, you know, you show them and then you're making this comment. But what I'm trying to say, like, because you're in research and development, think about the ways how we can also in this grant making and research and something, how we can facilitate actually young emerging artists as well.
I love that. The advocacy is amazing, and just so encouraging and inspirational to hear from folks like yourself, because you know, I myself am stepping into my own practice as an artist, you know, and as I'm doing that, I'm understanding everything that you're saying, because I've kind of come from it from both sides as a curator and someone who was doing programming at institutions, and now as an artist, like I told, you know, because I'm emerging, like you know, I don't have a name for myself out there in the world, and but I do know what it's like, because like you said, there's a criteria, especially for the like 2-year grants or like the larger sums, you know, the larger awards. It's just like, you know, and we've seen it, and we've all seen the organizations that do it. And like you said, it's an artist from LA or New York or abroad that comes to Philly, and you know, and in order to kind of fill the need of recognizing local artists, they're the ones that get the kind of bottom of the.
I'm like, invite them. This is the luxury of Philadelphia, get to see them, but equally enhance the same
Yeah.
who is from Philly.
Yes, right. Because like you said, how are Philadelphian artists gonna get there? Like, how's Philly as an art sector, you know, as an art destination going to get there? And like you said, it's really about retaining the talent and supporting Philly artists. So I love that you're really promoting that message and doing it in your own practice and the work that you do.
I'm talking about it a lot, and I actually, all my really established artists, I actually request them shamelessly. Like, if it's not costing you money, please put your donation for another artist. I really appreciate it.
I love it. Look, you know, we need more folks like yourself.
They have become good friends. And of course, they know what 12 Gigs is about and how tiny. I'm not going anywhere with that $1,000, but you know, somebody actually can do something with that. So that's like one thing I really wanted to say, but it doesn't affect me. It affects really two artists. So I think that's a really important comment. I can fill application with big names and get the grant, but I technically don't agree with that. So
I love it. This is good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff.
So
thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry about the delay. I just had to.
Oh, please, no worries. Look, you more than made up for it. And please do give your husband my regards. So
I will.
Thank you so much. We'll be in touch. Bye.